So a new study has came out that a drug that Donald Trump promoted during the early stages of the pandemic, I hope I'm saying this right, hydroxychloroquine, has now been the cause of 17,000 deaths. A drug that Donald Trump promoted and said, hey, what have you got to lose? Just take it. Well, 17,000 people lost their lives when they took it. Now, before I go any further with this video, I want to make it perfectly clear that I am not a doctor and do not claim to be. I'm not a scientist and do not claim to be. No one out there should ever take their medical advice from me, okay? I went to a poor high school in Southeast Kentucky and I graduated with a 2.5 grade point average. I never attended school after that. So I am nobody for anybody to take their medical advice from, and I would never give it to you. I would tell you to consult with a professional because I don't know anything about that world. Now, if you go out and buy yourself a guitar and you start your garage band and then you decide to go out there and play in dive bars with that band, I'm your guy. I can tell you all the do's and the don'ts in that world, but I would never give you medical advice because I am not a professional, and neither is Donald Trump. Yet he promoted this drug. Yet he told us that, hey, this is all going to be over by Easter. It'll all be over once it warms up. Oh, it's all just a Democratic hoax. And he's on audio talking about how he knows how serious it is, but he's not going to tell us. The one thing I will never understand is why people don't get this. When you vote for someone to be president, you're voting for someone who you think can best run the country. But that doesn't mean that that person is an expert in every field. They're going to surround themselves with the experts. They're going to listen to the experts, and they're supposed to take data and research. And they're supposed to take all that into consideration and make what they feel is the best decision. They're supposed to listen to the experts, but that doesn't make them an expert. Donald Trump was not a medical expert. Donald Trump is not a scientist. Donald Trump has not spent his entire career devoted to medicine and science. He's not spent his entire life devoted to military intelligence or to environmental issues. When you vote for someone for president, you're voting for the person who you feel can best do the job and best make the tough decisions. But that does not mean they're an expert in their field. And when I say this about Trump, I mean the same about Joe Biden. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. Just because someone is elected to office does not make them an expert in every field. But what did Donald Trump do? He went out there and he demonized all the experts in all the fields. People who he appointed. He still found ways to demonize them when they disagree with them, and people took his word over the word of the experts, and that's the part that I will never understand. I will never understand how anybody could look at a doctor who's devoted his entire life to medicine and science, who's saying this is what is going to happen, or this is what may not happen, or this is a good idea to take this, or not a good idea to take this, how they could ignore everything that guy says and listen to a reality show host who never spent one day in the medical field and don't know jack shit about what he's talking about. I will never understand how these people think he's an expert in every field and how they think that when he gets back in power, he can correct everything in just one day. When people say stuff to me like, yeah, I'm cool with him being a dictator because he'll just fix all of our problems in one day and then we'll be done. It's very hard for me to take you serious or really have any respect for your opinion after that, because what you're saying to me is, I don't have a damn clue how anything works. All I know is that if the roles had been reversed, and if Joe Biden had been president during the pandemic, or let's say Hillary Clinton had won in 2016 and she was the president during that, I wouldn't have been listening to Hillary Clinton for my medical advice. I would not have took my medical advice from Hillary Clinton. I would have listened to the doctors and to the experts. I also wouldn't have randomly listened to podcast hosts, and I wouldn't have randomly listened to some dude I worked with or some dude that he knew. Yeah, a buddy of mine was telling me the other day that he read. I'm not going to listen to that kind of shit when it comes to medical advice. Yet I know people that do. I know people all the time that will go to the doctor, sit down in front of the doctor, and the doctor will say, you've got gas, just fucking fart. And they won't do that. They will go home And they'll think about it, and they'll go down to the dollar store and run into some old boy they went to school with, and that old boy will say, boy, I tell you what now, you better not listen to that doctor, because my brother got a pain in his side, and they told him to just fart, and he fucking fell dead. And they'll come home and say, yeah, I knew better than to listen to them old doctors. Old Junior's brother fell dead, and I keep me listening to the experts. That's the kind of people that are in this world. And 17,000 people lost their lives because they took the advice of a reality show host whose daddy gave him a couple of $1 million and put a silver spoon up his ass and sent him on his way. It's so ridiculous. I'm not a doctor. Don't take advice from me, and I would never give it to you. I've never gave anyone medical advice in my life. I've never even thought about it, because guess what? I'm not that arrogant. I'm not arrogant enough to say, yeah, listen to me. Little hillbilly sitting here in a Coleman lawn chair. Yeah, listen to me. I'm the guy. No, I'm not. And if I ever was sitting across from the likes of Joe Rogan and they said, Jamie, pull up this thing, I said, listen here, guys, we're not medical experts. Let's not talk about this, okay? Let's just leave this to the experts. But what they've done is they've demonized the experts now until there's such a distrust within the American people that what's going to happen if we ever get hit with another serious pandemic in this country? What's going to happen? We're all just sitting ducks now, because for whatever reason, people listen to that one old boy down at the dollar store before they will listen to the experts. Make it make sense. I can't find a way to.